I often look back at the history of my father, searching for the moment he became more than just a man. In my timeline, things ended differently, but the legend of his journey to Nemek still haunts me. We remember the flashy transformations. We remember the gold hair, the lightning, and the earth shaking screams. But if you really analyze the path he took, the most pivotal moments, the ones that truly define who Son Goku is, don't happen on the battlefield. They happen in the quiet, agonizing moments before the fight begins. They happen in the preparation. There is no better example of this than the Nemek saga. Specifically, the 6 days my father spent alone in the vacuum of space. We often glaze over this part of the story. It is a montage, a transition between Earth and Nemek. But this specific training arc is arguably the most important week in the history of our people. It is the bridge that took him from a low-class warrior who struggled against Vegeta to a biological anomaly capable of challenging the Emperor of the universe. Today, I want to break down the Capsule Corp spaceship training. We are going to analyze the math, the biology, and the sheer mental fortitude required to survive 100 times Earth's gravity. We are going to look at how my father broke every rule of human limitations in less than a week. Let's rewind to the context, because the stakes here are often forgotten. The Saiyan saga had ended in a Pyrrhic victory. Sure, Vegeta retreated, but the cost was astronomical. Yamcha, Tien Chiaotzu, and my mentor Piccolo were dead. The Dragon Balls were gone. My father was left in a full body cast, shattered from using the Kaioken ×4. He was helpless. When he finally eats a Senzu bean in the hospital, the situation is dire. Krillin, my younger self, and Bulma had been sent on what was essentially a suicide mission. They were heading to Nemek, unaware that Frieza, a being with a power level of 530,000, was already there. My father woke up, and he doesn't just need to get stronger, he needs to close a power gap that is mathematically impossible for a normal fighter. He is sitting at a power level of roughly 8,000. He needs to reach the hundreds of thousands. This brings us to the vessel, the Capsule Corp spaceship. We have to give a massive amount of credit to Dr. Briefs here. He took the spherical attack pod of a Saiyan, technology designed for intergalactic war, and reverse engineered it. He built a starship capable of reaching Nemek in 6 days, fitted with a stereo system, a kitchen, and the most dangerous piece of gym equipment ever created, the gravity machine. My father steps onto this ship, and for the first time in his life, he is completely alone. No King Kai to guide him, no Kami to give him wisdom, no Krillin to spar with. It is just him, the silence of space, and a dial on the wall. He starts his training by pressing the button for 20 times gravity. Now, let's stop and really think about what 20 times gravity means. When he trained with King Kai, he struggled to move in just 10 times gravity. 10G is enough to crush a normal human's internal organs. Fighter pilots faint at 9Gs. When he activates 20 Gs, he is instantly slamming his body with a force that defies nature. If my father weighs roughly 140 pounds, he suddenly weighs 800 pounds. Imagine carrying a Honda Civic on your back, but the weight isn't just on your shoulders, it is on your eyelids, your tongue, your heart, and your lungs. Your blood becomes heavy like mercury. Your heart has to beat violently just to push oxygen to your brain. In the records of that time, we see him drop to the floor. His first goal isn't to throw a punch, it is just to stand up. This is the foundation of the training. He isn't working on technique. He is forcing his skeletal density and muscle fibers to adapt to an environment that wants to kill him. But linear progression wasn't enough. He didn't have months, he had days. He needed a disaster, and the universe provided one. While he is resting, a magnetic storm hits the spaceship. This is the turning point of the entire arc. The ship starts to spiral, and the gravity machine malfunctions. It doesn't just creep up, it spikes all the way to 100 times gravity. This scene is terrifying. He is pinned to the ceiling. At 100 times gravity, a 140-pound man weighs 14,000 pounds. That is 7 tons. That is the weight of a large African elephant, compressed into the size of a human being. Every bone in his body is on the verge of snapping. His capillaries are likely bursting. He can't breathe. This isn't training anymore. This is a survival horror movie. He has to crawl inch by painful inch to reach the control panel. He isn't fighting a villain here. He is fighting the fundamental laws of physics. He barely manages to shut it off. He collapses, broken, near death. And this is where our Saiyan biology comes into play, the Zenkai boost. We talk about Zenkai boosts a lot, but this specific one is the most critical in the series. Saiyans have a genetic trait where, if they survive a near-death experience, their power level skyrockets upon recovery. By accidentally torturing his body to the brink of total destruction and then healing himself instantly with a Senzu bean, my father accidentally unlocked a cheat code. He burned through his supply of Senzu beans on this trip, not because he was hungry, but because he was systematically destroying his body and rebuilding it. This cycle of destruction and rebirth is what allowed him to bypass years of training in a matter of hours. Once he recovers from the malfunction, the training shifts gears. He decides to keep the machine at 100 times gravity. But now, he isn't struggling. He begins to master it. This is where the visual of his struggle becomes something beautiful. We see him shirtless, his body more defined, doing one-fingered handstand push-ups in an environment that would flatten a tank. The ship is bathed in a red emergency light, emphasizing the intensity. He starts training his Kai control. There is a specific moment where he fires a Kamehameha wave at himself. In 100 times gravity, the energy itself is heavy. The beam curves. He forces himself to dodge his own attacks. Think about the mental processing speed required for that. He is training his reaction time to be instantaneous. He is training his spirit to control energy that is being weighed down by the environment. He is shadow boxing invisible enemies, moving faster than the eye can see, all while carrying 14,000 pounds of phantom weight. He turns the torture chamber into a playground. He has synchronized his body with the pressure. He has normalized the impossible. When the spaceship finally lands on Nemek, the payoff is immediate. He steps out of the ship, and the atmospheric shift is palpable. He has spent a week carrying the weight of the world, and now, stepping onto Nemek's soil, he feels weightless. We need to look at the numbers to appreciate this. He left Earth at 8,000. When he lands on Nemek, his base power is 90,000. That is an 11 times increase in less than a week. But it's not just about the number. It's about the base form philosophy. Before this arc, he relied heavily on the Kaioken to bridge gaps. After this training, his base form becomes his primary weapon. When he arrives at the battlefield to save my younger self and Krillin, he is operating on a different dimension. He reads Krillin's mind, a new psychic ability born from his heightened spiritual awareness. He stares down the Jinyu Force, the so-called elites of the universe. Raccoon, a monster who had just broken my neck and crushed Vegeta, charges at him. My father defeats him with a single, swift elbow to the gut. Berter, the self-proclaimed fastest being in the universe, tries to outpace him. He moves so fast that Berter can't even track him with his eyes. It's a complete humiliation. And the best part, he isn't even trying. He is calm. He is silent. The frantic, desperate man from the Saiyan saga is gone. In his place is a martial arts master who knows exactly what he is capable of, recognizing hard work inside that metal box. This training arc is a masterclass in pacing and progression. It stripped away all the distractions. It showed us that while Frieza was born a prodigy and Vegeta was born a prince, my father had to carve his path out of sweat and blood. The spaceship training proved one undeniable truth about Son Goku. Barriers exist only to be broken. If a wall stands in his way, whether it's a villain or the force of gravity itself, he will train until he breaks through it. He entered that ship a warrior, but he exited a legend. And that is why the road to Nemek remains, to this day, the greatest solo training arc in the history of my father's life. In my timeline, we don't have much to fight for, but we have the stories of those who never gave up. If my father's journey inspired you to break your own limits today, then honor his legacy. Hit the like button to keep the spark of the resistance alive, and subscribe so you don't miss our next dive into the history of the Z Fighters. Stay strong, keep training, and I'll see you in the next one.